The Aggies on KVNU, 610 AM and 102.1 FM.
KVNU News Time is 5:05. I'm Bill Walter with this news update brought to you by Roof Rescue. A 34-year-old Layton man has been arraigned on charges of allegedly sexually assaulting a teenage girl last fall. Kenneth Lawrence Smith was booked into the Cache County Jail on January 31st after a warrant was issued for his arrest. Smith made his initial appearance Wednesday morning in 1st District Court. He was charged with aggravated kidnapping, 2 counts of forcible sexual abuse, 2 counts of endangerment of a child, and 3 other misdemeanors. According to the arrest affidavit, Cache County Sheriff's deputies were contacted by the alleged victim in November. She claimed Smith drove her to Blacksmith Fork Canyon on October 29th. He then gave her alcohol, marijuana, methamphetamine, and molested her. The alleged victim's mother provided deputies with text messages between her and Smith after she confronted him about the allegations. During Wednesday's arraignment, Judge Brian Cannell read the charges against Smith, noting they could carry up to 15 years to life in prison if convicted. He assigned him a public defender and ordered him to appear again in court on March 1st. KVNU News Time is 5:06. KVNU weather tonight, partly cloudy skies. Low temperature overnight, 0 to 5 above. Partly cloudy, then clearing, but hazy conditions back with us tomorrow. High temperature in the upper 20s. Hazy, mostly cloudy, but warmer on Saturday, mid-30s for the high. It's been 21. It's 20 right now at KVNU. KVNU weather brought to you by U&I Furniture. Lots of closeouts and specials as they get ready for new arrivals from Furniture Market. Dining sets, sofas and loves, sectionals. Pick out a new recliner from their big selection. Always a better buy at U&I. Downtown Logan, 28 West, 1st North.
This is David from Roof Rescue. A roof is not something most people think about until they notice a leak on the ceiling. This time of year, fluctuation in temperatures, along with rain, snow, and ice, can do a number on your roof. If you notice these leaks, they won't go away on their own and are oftentimes a sign that the roof has reached the beginning of the end of its life. Call Roof Rescue for a free analysis, diagnosis, and estimate. Let's fix those leaks and keep you dry this winter. Call 435-999-4268 or visit roofrescueusa.com. Roof Rescue, providing watertight peace of mind.
KVNU News Time is 5:08. Republican attacks on gender-affirming medical care for young people continued Wednesday in several conservative states that are among more than 24 considering similar bans nationwide. Lawmakers in Nebraska, Oklahoma, and South Dakota considered bills Wednesday that would prohibit gender-affirming treatments like the use of puberty-blocking drugs and hormones, despite the endorsement of such treatments by major medical associations. Those measures passed legislative committees in Oklahoma and South Dakota and also are expected to advance in conservative Nebraska, which has a nonpartisan legislature. In Utah, Governor Cox recently signed a ban into law, and judges have temporarily blocked similar laws in Arkansas and Alabama. And Matt Bradley scored 18 points, and number 25 San Diego State held on to beat Utah State 63-61. Bradley made his first 7 shots and went 7 of 9 from the field overall to help keep the Aztecs atop the Mountain West Conference standing. Utah State trailed by double digits much of the game until Dan Atkin made a pair of free throws to cap a 9-0 run that cut San Diego State's lead 62-61 with a minute left. Max Shulga missed a potential winning jumper, though, in the final seconds, and Keshad Johnson's free throw sealed the victory for San Diego State. Here's what Coach Ryan Odom had to say after the game.
Their defense really impacted us in a negative way. They were getting out on Steven, getting out on Taylor. We were not as organized as we needed to be.
And it was Stephen Ashworth with 18.6 assists, 5 rebounds for Utah State. Up next for the Aggies, they visit San Jose State on Saturday. KBNU News Time is 5:10. For more details on these and other stories, visit CashValleyDaily.com.
Hi, this is Drew Allen with Allen Mortuaries. Over the years, thousands of families have planned ahead with Allen Mortuaries. Planning ahead helps you make informed and thoughtful decisions. It also spares your family the stress of making these decisions under the pressure of time and strong emotions. Allen Mortuaries' secure pre-need trust plan can save you nearly 40% versus other plans. Keep it simple, safe, and secure. Go with the proven choice, Allen Mortuaries. Voted best funeral home in Cache Valley in northern Utah. Allen Mortuaries. Then, now, always.
When it comes to my wife, I can readily admit it, without shame. I'm clueless. Seriously. This Valentine's, I haven't a clue. Yet, I managed to sweep her off her feet with the right gift every time. How? Here's a clue for you.
Surprise your honey by going to Cox Honeyland for delicious popcorn, sweet fudge, seasonal gifts, and unique gift baskets. Don't forget, fill your container with their honey. It's second to none. Cox Honeyland and Gifts, 1780 South Highway 89, Logan.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People. We've got a lot to get to here in hour 2 of today's show, so we're going to jump right in with highlights from legislative town halls, a piggybacking on the conversation from the legislative town hall last night, some comments on tax cuts today, an actual, finally, 2 days past the midway point, finally, some actual discussion about real policy instead of political issues in the Senate daily briefing. They're finally getting to the actual work they are elected to do there in the Senate, and it's excited to see that. We have highlights of that briefing today, which again piggybacks well on a discussion last night from the Cache County Republican Party's legislative town hall, which is now up on their Facebook page, or Facebook and YouTube page. Search for Cache County GOP on YouTube. You'll find that and last week's if you want to watch it. And they'll be doing these each week till the end of the session. So we've got highlights of both coming up. We'll check in with our friends at the Family Place. We spent last year each month with them through their 40th anniversary, but they have some news of an event coming up that is a constant Cache Valley Classic event for children. Details on the upcoming famous, I would say, Princess Party later on this hour. Before we get to all of that, though, I do want to highlight this because they said they have had a great time and their spot here on our show. They've had a lot of people mention that they heard about it first there, and they're excited. The middle school kids at Mount Logan Middle School have put together a production of Oklahoma, and word of mouth on this has been pretty great. People who have seen it have just said it knocked our socks off. The talent of these young children in what is not an easy musical to perform. If you've ever seen Oklahoma, the film, or a stage production, even adults sometimes struggle with a lot of these songs and the voices required to pull them off. And these kids, I guess, are just knocking it out of the park. So just a reminder, you have 2 more opportunities to see this only at Mount Logan Middle School tomorrow evening, and then on Saturday you have an option to see the production, Mount Logan Middle School production of Oklahoma. And you can get your tickets through the Logan Schools website, loganschools.org, or at the door, of course, through the shows. And their final shows tomorrow night and Saturday night, and then it's gone. If you like to see some of the coverage of both Cole Watkins and Ella Kellstrom, who are in our studio, 2 of the leads from Oklahoma for Mount Logan Middle School, that story on CashValleyDaily.com, and a great photo of them from here in the studio that actually made its way to the Mount Logan Middle School website as well. Smiling kids in the studio. It's definitely something to get out and support. And again, from what I'm hearing, these are some talented kids. So check it out. Tonight and tomorrow night, again, the final shows of Mountain Logan Middle School's production of Oklahoma. All right. Shifting gears now to some more serious stuff. It was the second legislative town hall took place here in Cache Valley, online last night. They're doing these a bit different this year. A couple of years ago, they transitioned from 7 a.m. Saturday morning town halls to live YouTube town halls, which I think was a very smart move. Due to scheduling and technical issues that plagued them in the previous years, they've decided not to do these live. I think this is a genius idea, and hats off to Chair Shelley Giddings, who told us earlier this week why they did this. Short explanation, it just works better. Using the YouTube as the platform for the town hall guarantees every lawmaker can attend, and doing them as recorded means they can actually ask more questions. So Shelley is asking people every week to send your questions for lawmakers in by Wednesday morning. She collects the questions, groups them together if they're similar topics, and then every question gets asked during the town hall, because since they are on YouTube, there's no time limit. They can go an hour and a half, 2 hours if they need to. Last night they went just over an hour, and the video is up on the Cache County GOP YouTube channel. But we've got some highlights here for you from last night's legislative town hall.
We've been in discussions, and I know there's been bills. There's been a number of bills introduced in all kinds of tax, income tax, property tax, reducing the income tax on Social Security, and a lot of things. And there's still been discussions between leaderships of the House and Senate where we can kind of land on a policy that we all agree on. And the amount. I will tell you that I'm a big supporter of another, if you will, bite of the apple to try and continue to reduce the tax on the Social Security benefits, which I still have a struggle with. And so I've talked in favor of that in meetings that I've been in, and I think you'll see something. I think we've come to an agreement that it's something that we want in our overall tax policy. And so, like I said, whether that's in Representative Brooks' bill or another bill, or just how we handle that, but I think I feel confident that you will see something in the reduction of the tax on Social Security benefits. So.
Great, thank you. And Representative Peterson.
I'll just say that Tom, Dan, you can jump in if you think if I misspeak, but I think there's pretty good solidarity on what the senator just said in the House as well. That Social Security is one of those places we want to make some changes, increase the threshold there, so fewer folks are having to pay taxes. It'll happen, I think.
Great. Okay, next question. It's a long one. A large amount of the state is federally managed public land. Our state government would do a better job managing that than the federal government. Is there anything the legislative, or actually that's a is there anything the legislature is doing or can do to take over management of that land? Senator Scott.
I got this one.
Okay.
So yes, over the past decade, there have been things that have been put in place to begin a pathway, one, through legislative attempts in Congress, or two, through the judicial side of asking the Supreme Court to decide if the 13 Western states, as they joined the nation, were treated equally with the other states that joined the nation, the other side of Colorado. When those states joined the nation, they were given the possession of the majority, like the vast majority, 98% of their federal lands were turned over to the state. That policy changed as we moved further west. Utah is, I believe, close to taking this to the Supreme Court to make that judgment. Now, whether that can or will go forward or happen, the state is making some progress and discussions are continuing basically to pursue that judicially.
Senator Sandel there referencing what is known as the American Lands Council approach to sue the federal government. And of course, we've had this debate for more than a decade now. The simple fact of the matter, Utah cannot actually afford to manage those lands. So it's an issue that makes great campaign fodder for re-election, but I wouldn't expect it to go forward anytime soon. It's still just halfway through some of the questions here. Again, this was an hour-long town hall with every representative from northern Utah as part of this town hall. You can watch the entire thing on the Cache County GOP YouTube channel, which I've linked to on our Facebook page. And, of course, you hear Cache County Chair Shelley Giddings, good friend of the show, asking the questions which came from the public. Another question asked by a viewer. Again, the way they're doing these, you send them in advance via the Cache County Republican Party Facebook page. There is a link there each week for questions. Get them in by Wednesday morning, and they'll be asked during the town hall. There was another question about energy policy, which also was in the news today, as far as a bill that was unveiled that will create a statewide energy policy, including increased use of renewable energy sources. A question at the town hall last night what can the state do to better utilize current oil leases that oil lease companies that own those leases are sitting on? Would this help? Would it improve Utah's picture or the nation's? Great question from a listener. Here how our lawmakers answered.
Who would like to take this one? Senator Sandel.
Okay, so we can increase and are increasing the oil drilling in our state in the basin. The difficulty is all of the increase has to be exported to other refineries. We are moving from the basin to the Salt Lake refinery system as much oil as they can produce, and it's coming from Utah. So when prices are higher, and quite honestly, prices spiked in the last 2 weeks, it's because they had a problem at their one refinery in refining gasoline. They could continue to refine diesel, but their gas process went down and they'd used up their supplies. So they're having to import refined gasoline into our market. That's why it went up now. And the oil production, the waxy crude out in the basin, all of that's going now on rail and into Texas above what the local refineries can refine.
Okay.
Maybe if I can jump in there too. So one of the things that we can do is at least influence what we pay or at least charge at the pump for the state tax. So Mike Schultz has a bill, it's HB 301, and it's mostly dealing with assessments on electric vehicles. So as more of those cars come online, making sure that they're paying their fair share. But within that is a provision that would reduce our state portion of tax on fuel. So we're cognizant of that as well. So as we're looking at maintaining roads and moving forward with some of these newer technologies, we're also cognizant of the need to reduce on the other side. So that bill just passed out of rev and tax this afternoon, and I supported it then and plan on doing so on the floor as well. So we are doing what we can on the policy front as well.
That, again, was a discussion on tax policy with, you heard almost every Cache Valley lawmaker and Senator Scott Sandel and from the Box Elder County area and a sliver of Cache Valley in his district at the south end, all talking tax policy, giving you during last night's legislative town hall here in Cache Valley, a good overview of where they're at, what tax policy changes we might see, tax cuts we might see, some we won't see. And then almost as if it was planned. So Shelley, the Cache County GOP chair, Shelley Giddings, uploaded that video this morning. It is live on their Facebook and YouTube channels. On YouTube, just search Cache County GOP. And I've linked to that on our Facebook page as well. You can watch the full 1 hour legislative town hall. Every question coming from someone in Cache Valley. And you can send these in every week before Wednesday to get your question asked next week, as they keep doing these through the session. That video is up. And almost as if it were planned, I know it wasn't, but almost as if it were planned, during the Senate media availability today, they talked about the same thing, but with some specifics. Some background on this before we go to the break, and then we'll play the highlights on the other side. There is a push by Utah Democrats in the Senate and the House that has a lot of public support, which is to do away with the sales tax on food. That puts Republicans in a situation because normally they try to ignore what Democrats push for, but where they've said we're going to cut taxes this year, they're having a harder time saying no to this. Now, this is the third year in a row Democrats have pushed to have the food tax eliminated entirely here in Utah. They're riding a wave of public popular opinion. Lawmakers actually lost their jobs in elections due to a proposed increase of a sales tax on food. So obviously there is public support for keeping this low or eliminating it. And Democrats are banking on that, not because they think it will help them win elections, but because they feel like this is one policy goal they've had for a long time in which Republicans are going to have a hard time finding an excuse to not do it. So I've been watching this one really closely. Today we got our first hint of how this might actually happen, knowing that because of the dynamics of the supermajority and Democrats' very, very, very small minority, Republicans have to come up with the excuse. If we do this that Democrats have made so much hay about pushing for, how do we do that in a way that we get to claim some credit as well as the majority? This is the way legislative chambers often work. Unfortunately, the politics does play in. Well, it appears they've found their justification, and it seems like we might actually see sales tax on food eliminated. Maybe. Audio from today's Senate presser revealing some of their thinking on this from the majority right after this.
Own a small business or a farm? You thought about solar? Listen up. A new USDA grant was announced allocating $300 million for farmers and small business owners to put in solar. That's right. The government will help you get solar installed, covering 40% of the cost. And don't forget, as a business, you can save up to 50 or 60% more with federal and state tax credits. Second Sun Solar will install your system and help with the USDA paperwork. Call Second Sun Solar today at 435-363-9917 or online at utahsolardirect.com.
The legendary home for USU basketball brings you KVNU Game Day, breaking down each Aggie matchup before and after each game. Pre-game with Al Lewis and former Aggie Jalen Moore begins 1 hour before tip-off. Immediately following the game, tune in for post-game coverage and Aggie Call. John Russell will join Al analyzing the stats and taking your calls. Don't miss Game Day before and after each USU basketball game on News Talk KVNU, the home for Aggie faithful.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People. Before the break there, you heard highlights from last night's legislative town hall here in Cache Valley, which you can watch the entire thing again via the Cache County GOP YouTube channel. Search Cache County GOP and you'll find it. I've linked to it on our Facebook page as well. About an hour-long town hall. All the questions came submitted in advance from people here in Cache Valley and Box Elder County, and it was great. But one of the lengthiest discussions they had was around proposed tax cuts. There are a lot of them. Which ones might happen? Which ones are already DOA? Tax policy changes that might go along with this. If they offer a tax cut, are they going to also tweak the policy long term? So that was the discussion you heard there. Then today, almost as if it was planned, even though it couldn't have been, Senate leadership had the same conversation, but more specifically focused on the minority leadership. Senator Luz Escamilla, a Democrat in the Utah Senate who is the minority leader, and Ann Milner, a Republican lawmaker from the Weber County area, part of the majority, obviously, is a Republican, but has also sort of become the de facto chair of tax proposals when they could affect education. They together were invited to be a part of the Senate media briefing today to respond to a question from the media on that. Will the sales tax on food, as Democrats are pushing for, be a thing that is removed this year? There's public support for it. That's why Democrats have basically grabbed it as their issue. Republicans, though, can't give Democrats a win because politics do play a part in legislative processes still, unfortunately, or for better or worse, maybe we should say. So Republicans just need the excuse. What can they come up with that says, here's why we're doing this, not because Democrats made us? And it seems like they maybe found it. But this could open a whole different can of worms. I'll let you listen and decide for yourself. Here is a bit of the audio from today's Senate briefing on whether or not the sales tax on food will be repealed, as Democrats are pushing for. And if it is, what will Republicans ask for in exchange? First,
my bill is
Senator Luz Escamilla, followed by Senator Ann Milner.
My bill is specifically to items that are currently what we consider basic food items. It has I believe, a $34 million fiscal note, but I know it's being considered as part of a bigger conversation on taxes. So I'm patiently waiting to see how those conversations happen. But I know we've talked to the joint leadership meetings have been addressing this, and I feel heard by my colleagues, and I'm just waiting. This is, by the way, Senator Maines actually had this bill, so I picked up from her bills when she retired from the Senate, and we just feel it's important to have those basic food items taken care of as a first step in addressing taxes on food.
Yeah. So the issue is income tax has grown 10 times the rate of the general fund. And if you take the sales tax off of food, the problem we create is we have lots of other needs in government. All the way from many of you, the social services appropriations areas, public safety, courts, prisons, corrections, parks, et cetera. And so how do we accommodate that, taking a cut on that side when we don't have flexibility on the other side with the use of those revenues for income tax? Those conversations, because the other issue is we've got some high priority needs out there in other areas that we need to be able to meet. And unless we have more flexibility with the use of income tax funds, it makes it very difficult to do that. And I think when people probably went to this approach, we were probably growing general fund and income tax at about the same rate. Well, now that's not true anymore. One is growing 10 times as fast as the other because, as you all know, people are buying less stuff and they are much more have moved to services and travel and all those kinds of things, which is really good. But that means we don't have the same kind of sales tax because people's buying patterns have changed. I would say on the other side of that too is interesting enough. When I came here in the 80s, I want people to keep thinking, not to forget this. Our kids were leaving the state to go get jobs in other states because the defense industry was going down and the mining industry was going down. And we did not have a kind of an economy that could support the kinds of jobs. The diversification of our economy that's happened over the last 35 years is amazing. We have seen incredible growth, and we're seeing it in a wide variety of clusters, of industry clusters. We should be celebrating that, but it is changing kind of the tax structure piece of this. And I think we need to say, let's celebrate that, but it might mean that what worked 40 years ago is not going to be what works today in a changing economic environment.
There was, again, Senator Ann Milner, Republican senator, and previous to her, Senator Luz Escamilla, minority leader, Democratic senator, talking about their joint efforts through this joint task force to come to some kind of consensus. And as Milner wraps up there, she says what has always been the case might not be our way forward. I'll tell you, folks, this is a can of worms. And there are agendas here behind both of these proposals. Democrats, obviously, their agenda is being the party that pushed for and exacted a removal of the food tax in Utah. That's going to be popular because there is public support for that. In fact, some Republicans lost their jobs in an election cycle recently for proposing an increase to the food tax. That Democrats see an opportunity there that they believe maybe in the future will help them electorally, or maybe they're just right now thinking this is good policy and here's a potential win for us. Republicans, to save face, want something in exchange. This is how legislative processes often works, for better or worse. Politics does play a part in it. So Republicans need something in exchange for that. They realize they don't really have a good reason to say no to removing the food tax, and that it is publicly popular. They're afraid to say no to that, but that gives Democrats a win. So they want something in return, and what Ann Milner just revealed there in the Senate presser today is what they've come up with is putting on the Constitution a question to remove the last remaining earmark for education money. This is an earmark that takes a portion of income taxes collected by the state and puts it right into education funds to pay for K through 12 education. They've already removed, we gave them this, I don't know why, the constitutional provision that locked them in a bit on preserving some money to pay for education. We said, sure, go ahead, take those handcuffs off. They have that freedom. If they remove this earmark, there are 0 earmarks left, meaning income tax becomes a general fund free-for-all. This could fund anyone from pet projects for one lawmaker and his or her district to paying for roads by short-sighted legislatures that decide to let other bills sit on the shelves for a few years, put all the money into roads that year. This is dangerous territory. I'm not saying it will go wrong. I'm saying it's dangerous territory, but it looks like that might be what happens. A removal of the food tax, doing with sales tax on food entirely, and in exchange, putting on the Constitution or on the ballot a question about amending the Constitution to give lawmakers even more flexibility with income tax money they collect from your paychecks. We'll see where it goes. All right. Whoopi, did you need to go? I was about to go to the news, and Bill was just about to stand up and leave.
I'll stay. I'll stay here.
All right.
Yeah, I'll stay and do the news.
We'll go to it then. A look at the news with KVNU's Bill Walter.
Thank you, Jason. KVNU News Time is 5:37. The news brought to you by Northern Steel Building. A new report outlines the challenges facing the Great Salt Lake and solutions policymakers should take to ensure the state's largest body of water doesn't dry up. That report from the Great Salt Lake Strike Team, which is made up of representatives from multiple state agencies, was released Wednesday morning and highlights the critical window the state has for saving the troubled lake. The report found that while drought and climate change have contributed to lower lake levels, the largest factor lies with the amount of water humans are using. Accordingly, the report noted the amount of water flowing to the lake has dropped. To improve lake levels, the report recommended the state commit any conserved water to the Great Salt Lake, use agricultural water more efficiently, and limit increased water use by municipalities and industries. Other proposed solutions include importing water to the lake, conducting better forest management, and raising the Great Salt Lake Causeway berm that divides the north and south parts of the lake. Governor Cox last week issued an executive order to raise the berm in an attempt to capture more spring runoff. The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service is considering removing Greater Yellowstone and Northern Continental Divide ecosystem grizzly bears from the endangered species list. Kristen Combs with the group Wyoming Wildlife Advocates worries that grizzlies could face the same fate as wolves if management is turned over to states. She points to recent moves by Idaho and Montana that have led to increased trapping, night hunting using infrared cameras, and year-round open seasons in a drive to reduce populations.
We've seen it with wolves. We see it with other large carnivores. There's nothing to say that that would not happen to grizzly bears if they were under state management as well.
Grizzly bears occupy just 6% of their historical range in the lower 48 states. Fish and Wildlife estimates there are just over 1,800 grizzlies living in the Yellowstone and Northern Continental Divide ecosystems, down from 50,000 that once roamed the West. Powerful livestock interests have long worked to protect their bottom lines when it comes to large carnivores. COMS points to programs that enable livestock and wildlife to coexist now at work in places such as Alberta.
How can we raise cattle and also have wolves and bears on the landscape? And it turns out it is possible. It's something that can be done. It just takes a little extra effort and time and learning something new.
Humans remain the greatest threat to grizzlies, from habitat loss and fragmentation due to development to deadly encounters with hunters, vehicles, and even trains. Anthony Edwards scored 31 points. Jalen Noel added a career-high 30 to lead Minnesota to a 143-118 win over Utah last night in Salt Lake City. Amid word the Timberwolves, Jazz, and LA Lakers were part of an 8-player swap hours ahead of the NBA trade deadline. KBNU News Time is 5:40.
In the beginning of time, in a land far away, hid a material in the earth so versatile that once discovered would give way to a century of innovation. From primitive weapons to railroads to buildings that scrape the skies. What is it? Steel. And without it, our world would look much different. Nothing is stronger or more versatile than steel. And if you want a building that'll stand the test of time, call Northern Steel Buildings at 435-677-7300 or visit northernsteelbuilding.com. That's northernsteelbuilding.com.
KBNU weather for tonight: partly cloudy, cold, low 0 to 5 above. Partly cloudy, then clearing on Friday, high in the upper 20s. And then, hazy conditions coming back into the forecast, unfortunately, into the weekend. Warmer temperatures by Saturday and mostly cloudy, but hazy, mid-30s. It was 21 today. It's 18 right now at KBNU. Adams Wealth Advisors, they put clients first. Under any circumstance, you'll receive peace of mind. Schedule a time with an advisor. Call 752-1702 or visit adamswealthadvisors.com. For more details on these and other stories, visit cashvalleydaily.com.
Now that the holidays are over, are you feeling the need to declutter and get that stale, closed-up smell out of your home? You should have your air ducts cleaned by the Duct Hunter. The dust that accumulates over time can appear as surface dust and can cause your home to smell musty and dusty. Call the Duct Hunter at 770-4813.
We are the Duct Hunter. Breathe better, save money, protect your home. We are the Duct Hunter.
Jessup Insurance invites you to attend a friendly, no-cost educational Medicare meeting Wednesday, February 15th. Jessup Insurance will answer any questions and simplify the entire Medicare process, all while enjoying a yummy dessert. Wednesday, 7 p.m., February 15th at Jessup Insurance. Call 213-3200 for more information or stop by 530 West, 465 North in Providence. Wednesday, February 15th.
Jessup Insurance and Retirement Services. Let us guide you.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People. Bill's gone from Burt Bacharach in hour one to whatever you were listening to there.
Burt is rocking out in his later years. He was. No,
that is,
not really.
Bill gets more angry as the show goes on, so the music he chooses is louder and more death metal-ish towards the end of the hour.
Got a little Black Hole Sun on the way. Yeah.
This is, I'm excited about this. So we spent a lot of time with them last year, the Family Place, and our good friend, executive director there, Jennifer Anderson, helping them celebrate their 40th anniversary. We did a monthly episode with them each month through 2022. Well, that 40th anniversary celebration is now wrapped up, but that doesn't mean they aren't busy. And just around the corner is one of the Family Place's biggest events as far as public draw, public attention, and happy, smiling little kids. It's one of the coolest ideas for an event, I think, that any nonprofit has had in a long time, and they're carrying it on for yet another year. The Princess Party is how it's colloquial known, but with the details on the event just around the corner, courtesy of and supporting the Family Place, Bill had a chance to speak with Executive Director Jennifer Anderson.
Thank you, Jason. On the line, we have Jennifer Anderson, who's the Associate Director at the Family Place Utah, and they have an annual event, an event that they've been having pretty much every February for the past little while, and that is the annual Princess Party. And Jennifer, nice to have you with us, back with us on For the People.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to talk to you about this event, and we have named it the Princess and Prince Party.
Yeah, I was going to ask
so
you
that. We can show, yes.
Yeah, so a little bit change in title and emphasis.
Yeah.
No, now of course, princes have been a part of the Princess Party in previous years.
Absolutely.
All
yes.
right.
Yes, and it really is to highlight probably more of the people that we are honoring that come to the event. So I know in the past it seems like maybe it was just for the princesses, and we wanted to make sure that our other honored guests were our princes in the community that want to come and be a part of this party. So it's for boys and girls of all ages, and the activities, the crafts, the characters that are there, and the royal ball that we have at the end, the different crafts that we do are for boys and girls, and they're for the whole family to enjoy.
It is this Saturday, February 11th, at the familiar place, Castle Manor, 170 West, 3900 North in Hyde Park. And that, as we were talking off air, that is a wonderful venue for this.
Oh, yes, it's a perfect venue for it. There's so much magic that happens there, celebration all year round, and for our Princess and Prince Party, it's the perfect location. So you come up to the building, and there it is, a castle, and we'll have a royal carriage out front, and then you're greeted by our characters and all the different things that will be happening inside.
All right. And so you're going to have some favorites that are returning, some favorite characters returning to the Princess and Prince Party.
Yes, so we have several that will be there, princesses and princes. But we like to highlight that Elsa and Belle, Prince Eric, Moana, Mulan, we have so many that will be there. And we actually have a fun activity for the kids so that they can make sure they've seen all of our characters, that it's a passport book that they can have stamped as they go throughout the castle and greet them and interact with them, so they can make sure that they see all of them that are there.
Now, Jennifer, about how many years has this been going on, the Princess and this year Prince Party as well?
That's a great question, because I've tried to locate that exact date. What I do know that it has been more than 10 years. And so I'm still trying to find the original year, but I do know that it's more than 10 years. And I found that out a couple years ago from a mom that was there with her youngest child and had told me that the very first one she had her little baby at. And that baby was now the older sister that was coming with the youngest sibling.
Oh, wow.
And that was really fun to see how it's just passed throughout the years, yes, in the family. So they've kept it as a community event that they've participated in.
I don't know if you keep track of this, but do you see a lot of the same families come year after year?
You know, I haven't tracked it as far as names, but with faces, watching those families grow, yes, I do see a repeat of participation, which is wonderful. It's something that they look forward to every year, and we love seeing our new families that come as well, new to not only the event, but perhaps new to our community, and they're learning more about the Family Place and the rest of all the wonderful organizations that we have in Cache Valley. And also, since we serve Rich and Franklin counties, we have families that will come from those areas as well, and we love inviting everyone to come. We even have some people that will come from out of town, even out of state, to participate in this event. So it definitely has built a reputation of being a fantastic event to enjoy every year. And
it looks like you have a couple of corporate sponsors for this event.
Yes, we have McDonald's and Alta Bank as our title sponsors, and we're just thrilled for their continued partnership with us. And it just makes it all that much more special with the things that they do in the community.
Awesome. Well, it looks like another opportunity again this year for memories to be made, and again 2 sessions. Yes. What time? What are the times for the 2 sessions this Saturday?
So we have the morning session is from 10 to 12 noon. The afternoon session is from 1 to 3 p.m. We do plan on selling out like we do every year, so we encourage people to get their tickets. Tomorrow will be the last day to purchase those online until 5 p.m. We do still have some tickets available in both sessions, but those will go really fast, especially since you and I get to talk about it right now to let people know. Now's the time. It's here. It's this Saturday. So we really look forward to people coming and having that time to connect with their families and also with others in the community, just as a way to highlight the 40 years the Family Place has been here with our services.
Yeah, very, very true. And it's, of course, an opportunity for young ones to be a prince or a princess for the day or part of the day. I'd like to thank you again, Jennifer, for Jennifer Anderson, who's the Associate Director at the Family Place Utah, for telling us more about the Princess and Prince Party happening at Castle Manor in Hyde Park this Saturday. Tickets are going fast, so get your tickets as soon as you hear this broadcast. Just go ahead and purchase those tickets because the event will sell out.
Well, and I'll look forward to seeing you there in your crown and your cape.
Okay, I'll have to look for I'll have to dust off my cape and because I use that for my my other life as a superhero, so. But I'll have to go find a crown somewhere.
We'll give you a crown. You come, you got a crown.
Okay, very good. Jennifer Anderson, again, from the Family Place, Utah. Thank you again for telling us about this year's Princess and Prince Party.
Wonderful. Thank you. Have a wonderful day.
And now, Jason, back to you.
Thank you, Bill. This is, I did not know about this cape, and now I want to see this cape. And
it's pretty dusty. Yeah, it is. It's.
Thank you. Thank you, Bill, for the laugh.
Moth-eaten.
I'm just picturing you there in your control board chair with a cape on, which really should be wearing every day, considering how many times you have to rescue this show with some fast-fingered button pushing. But, yeah, it's a pleasure to spotlight the Family Place. The work they do is without compare, and great to hear Jennifer's voice again. So, Bill, thank you. Jennifer, thank you. And for our listeners, of course, as always, thank you. Please stay tuned. We'll be back with more right after this.
Here's a little something I call Valentine's Made Easy. Pick up the phone, call Plant Peddler Floral. In a quick 2-minute phone conversation, you can take care of Valentine's. Call Plant Peddler. They'll give you some options right over the phone. Just be ready with a delivery address and a credit card number. That's it. One call, Plant Peddler takes care of it. 753-0444. It's Valentine's Made Easy. She'll love it. 753-0444. That's a phone number you need to enter in your phone contacts. Plant Peddler Floral, 753-0444.
Welcome to the new year and happy winter driving. As the weather outside gets colder, it's more important than ever to have a reliable vehicle to get you around safely. That's where Murdoch Volkswagen comes in with the Drive at Home sales event. Right now, receive 3.9% for 3 years on Volkswagen's award-winning SUV lineup. When you walk through our doors, you feel like family. At Murdoch Volkswagen in Logan or online at murdochvw.com.
Call 866-628-3065 or see dealer for complete details. Offer expires 2/28/23.
If you've been with the same insurance company for many years, you're probably experiencing rate creep. Hi, this is Matt Robbins with Quality First Insurance. What is rate creep? This is where your rates increase every year, but your agent doesn't have any other options for you. Auto Owners Insurance and Quality First will give you options. Quality First Insurance, 752-0101, right in front of Fisher Home Furnishings. For more information, go to q1ins.com.
What's more important than sleep? Granted, some things are, but not many. This is Ryan at My Mattress, and here we offer the best solution to better sleep, a better mattress. IntelliBed, the gel mattress, cradles your hips and shoulders while providing the best back support possible. Or come in and choose a Tempur-Pedic that boasts 93% of their owners love their bed. My Mattress, offering the best sleep possible by the South Walmart.
Welcome back to KVN News for the People. It is, so much going on Capitol Hill. It at times for me is hard to decide, which part to focus on. We had, this is a great question coming in from a listener, and like our conversation yesterday, where I was explaining that, what I'm going to consider highlights worth your attention might not be, what is the most important to you. So take the time to plug into the legislative session yourself, starting with the website Legislature, le.utah.gov. It really is an important thing to be a part of because so much is going on. 1,200 something bill files. Well, 1,600 bill files. 1,200 something bills that will probably see debate and discussion. 500-600 that will pass. Not all of them new laws or even adding a lot. As was made, a comment that was made during the Senate press briefing yesterday when this question came up. Are you concerned by this high number of bills, setting yet another record for legislative bill numbers in a 45-day session this year? Senator Vickers, the majority leader, right hand to the Senate president, said, look, it is a high number, and we'd rather see less, but every lawmaker gets to do what they want to do as far as sponsoring bills, and sometimes if you even want to add a comma to existing statute, you have to run a bill, which is another way to say not every one of these bills is doing something major. In fact, if you look at a lot of these bills, the majority of them are adding a sentence or two, taking a sentence or two away. Now, that can be significant, don't get me wrong. Removing a sentence from one part of statute can lead to monumental change. And sometimes there are, unfortunately, lawmakers who try to pull a fast one that way. That's what the process is for. The committee hearings, the audio and video where you can live stream or watch after the fact committee hearings and floor debates. That's the opportunity for the public to see this going on and say, hey, no, or hey, yes, we support this. But if no one's doing that, no one's doing that, and so they can pull a fast one. And believe me, it does. Let me explain the process on that a little bit, out of fairness to our lawmakers, because when I say pull a fast one, it makes it sound like it's a bunch of corrupt men and women up there just trying to take advantage of taxpayers, and that's not at all the case. Though there have been those lawmakers here and there through the years. They are few and far between, thankfully. But what does happen is lawmakers, something that would be advantageous to them or to their district, and so they transparently, they don't try to hide it, they run a bill to change this because it would benefit their district. It's something maybe a handful of their constituents they know would benefit from, or that would be popular and help them sail to re-election. And so they'll run a bill along those lines. And then it's something that the rest of the body, even though they know what that solitary lawmaker is doing, they don't want to be the one to oppose it. And so no one wants to be the one person that says, no, let's not do this, because then they'd be a headline themselves for saying that, even though they know maybe one of their colleagues is running a bill for political reasons to shore up their reelection chances, or maybe they have aspirations. Cough, cough, Senator Dan McKay, or cough, cough, Senator Mike Kennedy, two of the worst for doing this. They run a bill because one day they really, really, really badly want to be a United States senator. So they run a very political bill. No one else wants to be the person to say no to it. And so unless the public engages and gives them an excuse to say no, it sails through. So You need to be a part of this. You can comment online. You can call and text and email lawmakers via contact information there at the site. You can watch committee hearings that have already happened, those that are happening and will happen. See the full calendar for the week of events. Search current legislation that has been or will be debated by keyword, by bill title, by lawmaker sponsoring it. It's just a really useful website and makes it really easy to do. So le.utah.gov. Listener asks, what's the best way to follow the legislature? Honestly, social media. But that's because the media here in Utah, myself included, are all over that. But le.utah.gov is my recommendation.